Hi, my name's Leanne. I'm a pro makeup artist for Kryolan, and today I'm going to show you step by step how I created this glitter metallic eye. So whenever I'm creating any high fashion or editorial glitter effects, I always start by doing the eyes first. The one thing with glitter, as amazing as it looks, if you get fallout, you will be finding it for days and you will constantly see it in the photographs on camera. So I'm going to do eyes first. Any fallout that I have, I can clean up and then work on my base. So to start the preparation of my eyes, I'm going to work with the Ultra Brush On Concealer in the shade number 1. And this is just really to give me a blank canvas to work on and just to neutralise any darkness or redness on my eyes. The product is self-setting and slightly more matte, so for the eyes it's perfect because it really helps as well to control any oils. You can as well, if you feel necessary, prep your eyes first with the eyeshadow primer. And because it self-sets, it's perfect then to start working directly on top. So to start with the shape and the contour of my winged liner, I'm going to be using the Pure Pigment Metallic in Pure Orange. So it has a really rich, vivid gold base to it, but it's a little bit warmer than the gold, so it has more of that orange undertone rather than it being too kind of greeny. I'm going to mix it down with the eyeshadow primer. Now you can also mix it with a cell sealer if you want it to be slightly more durable, if you need it to be water resistant, but if you're just doing things for quick shots, the eyeshadow primer is perfect. I'm going to go on just with a flat brush. So this is art number 3712, but you can use any brush you're comfortable with when it comes to applying your shape. Because mine's going to be slightly more boxy, I'm going to use one to apply and then an angled brush to actually do all of my detail. So I'm just taking a small amount of the pigment and mixing it in with the primer, just to get that kind of base to then work on top with the loose pigment. So what I want to do first is just map out the shape of my lid, just to kind of get most of the coverage on there first. And then I'm going to switch over to my angled brush. Again, this is from the premium range and this is 9814. You want to mix the primer so it's kind of a creamy consistency. You don't want it to be too dry because then it will crumble, but you also don't want it to be too wet because it's not going to adhere properly to the eye. So I'm just going to map out my shape first. So the good thing about this brush, I don't know if you can see, it has a really beautiful straight square head with just the slightest angle. So when you start to come up into the contour of the socket, it fits in really nicely. So you get that crisp edge to your makeup. And I just find it easier using brushes than tapes because tapes can sometimes be a little bit difficult to work around, especially on the eye. The eye is a really thin part of the skin and quite sensitive, and you don't want to be putting too many tapes on there because it can irritate the skin as well. So I just changed the direction of my brush. So going from straight on and being flat, I'm now taking it up onto its point just to bring it along the brow bone. Whenever you do anything like this, if it's going to be a creative eye, you always want to follow the natural structure of your model's features. So it still has to be really attractive and quite fitting to them. Otherwise, if someone's got a slightly more prominent brow bone, you're going to want to come up higher because otherwise you're going to lose this definition. And these are such amazing pigments because they're like a metal film, so they're super reflective, but they're also really amazing to photograph. You get so much reflection from them. They look really smooth. They just look like liquid metal. So they're stunning as well if you want to use them on their own. So now that I'm happy with my placement and the shape that I've created using the primer and the Pure Pigment Metallic, I'm now going to go on just with the loose pigment itself, just to intensify where I've placed my mix. And as well, this allows you to get like different textures. So you've got kind of that really sleek film finish, and then you can add a little bit of pigment on top just to give it that kind of sparkliness and that glittery effect. So I'm going to start to work on the other side, and then I can clean up any of my edges once I've got my balance. So again, I'm going to go on with the brush 3712 just to go over the mobile lids to get most of my base down. And then I'll cut back in again with my angled brush. And literally just place and drag, let the brush do the work for you. It works almost like a stamp, so you don't have to do too much with it. So you can probably actually see there from where it's just with mix of the primer and then the finish with the pigment on top, it definitely makes it a lot more stronger. Just make sure they're being as symmetrical as possible. And then I can add some more pigment. And of course you're going to get fallout with the loose pigment as well. That's why it's just always a safer option to do eyes first. Okay, so pigment's down, I'm happy with the shape, so I'm going to start to work in with some glitter. I've got two styles of the polyester glimmers in the colour pastel yellow. I have a fine and a coarse grain in these. I always find that mixing your glitter sizes always give you a much more graphic effect to the eye and also help them to stand out in being photographed. Glitter is one of the hardest things to capture on photography just because of the cut of the glitter. So mixing them just really helps with that as well. To adhere them down onto the eyelids, I'm going to use the Hydro Mastix, which is a water-based glue. It's really suitable for the eyes, it's extremely gentle, and it also stops the glitter from splitting. So I don't know if you've ever used glitter with gel before, you might find that they can crack and split. With the Hydro Mastix that doesn't happen, which is always a bonus. Application wise, you can basically use as much as you need. You don't want to absolutely drench the eye in the Hydro Mastix, you want just enough that the glitter can lay on top of. And just wherever you place your Hydro Mastix is where you're going to place your glitter. So just kind of be mindful of where you're going to be putting it down. I always do application of the Hydro Mastix first, because what you want to do is allow it to go slightly tacky. You don't want it to be too wet when you put the glitter down. Otherwise you find that it can end up emulsifying into itself. Use a separate brush to your beauty products. You don't want to be finding glitter in your beautiful beauty brushes because again you will find it for quite some time. I am going to use just a flathead brush, which again is from the premium range in 9712. The amazing thing about these polyester glimmers, they're extremely soft and flexible, so they're really comfortable to wear on the eyes, and they're not made from any aluminium. They're literally synthetic polyester, so they're a lot more safer when you're working around such a delicate area. Because the Mastix is just water based, you can really quite easily just use a warm cotton pad with some water and it comes straight off. I'm just using the brush directly because again it's a personal product of mine. If of course you're going to be doing the glitter application on multiple people, then you will need to use a disposable applicator or a brush that you can hygienically clean. So I'm basically focusing the glitter just on the inner and outer corner and keeping the centre with that really stunning, Pure Orange from the Pure Pigment Metallics. So before I move on to my base, I do want to make sure I clean up any fallout. You do not want to have that stuck into your foundation because it will be impossible to remove. So it's always good to do that step first. And if you have used a lot more glitter, or if you find that you've used a larger grain, then you can also use some micro pore tape, so something that's appropriate for skin, and you can literally go along and remove the glitter with your finger and a little bit of tape. Just be mindful around the eyes. And I would always say, depending on skin tone as well, the darker skin tone that you work on, you may find that you want to play with some slightly more brighter colours, and vice versa for fairer skin as well. So, I mean, glitter and metallics always pick up on most skin types anyway, but you can always be playful with your colours to see what suits each individual better. So I've cleansed my skin just with the Derma Cleansing Lotion. So it's also going to prep the skin ready for our base. It's stunning. It's got lots of witch hazel and beautiful ingredients in there to help take off any kind of oils that you don't need, and to also give your skin a really clean, beautiful base. So before I go on and start with my foundation, I'm going to work first of all with the Ultra Under Base Primer. For me, myself personally, it's my favourite due to the hydration quality that it gives the skin, and it also has a nice amount of silicone in there, being an emulsion, to really lock your foundation in. So the next product I'm going to use is the Shimmering Event Foundation. You can see I use it a lot because there's not a lot in there. I normally work between the shades of bronze and also golden beige. Golden beige is good for anything from, you know, slightly fairer to medium skin tones. Your bronze is for more olive, darker skin, because I want this makeup to be really kind of goldy and glossy. I'm going to go for a slightly warmer shade, which is the bronze. If you want to keep it a little bit more neutral, golden beige is perfect. And if you are really fair, then you've also got pearl. And I'm working this underneath, so my foundation, when it goes on top, will help to balance out the skin tone. This is just to give a warmer complexion underneath my foundation. And you can also see already, just by applying the bronze, it's really made the gold and yellow stand out on the eyes as well. So it's a really good colour booster as well when you go for something a little bit warmer against these tones. Foundation wise, I'll be using the Ultra Cream Foundation. Again, it's one of my favourite products. It gives you such a gorgeous, dewy, glossy finish to your makeup, but also leaves the skin looking really hydrated. So I'm just going on first with the shade FS38. And you can see already there, it starts to bring the warmth down from that bronze, but still giving me a really gorgeous glow through. It's a medium coverage, so if you are looking for something a little bit more full, then you have the options of the Vita-Colour if you're going for that really kind of glossy look to your makeup. I'm going to use that to cut in as well and just clean up underneath. And for my contour, again, something that I always use, which is the Tan 5 from the Ultra Cream palette, just to add a hint of warmth onto the cheeks and to really gently and softly add a contour. Powder wise, you can use either a loose powder if you feel like you need to bake. However, I've only used a really fine amount of product, so I don't want to over apply too much powder. I still want to keep the skin looking really natural and very dewy. So I'm going to go in just with a very small amount of the Banana, which is from the Silhouette palette from the Dual Finish range. And this will help just to really brighten underneath the eyes and also help the concealer to set. And a little bit of the caramel from the same palette just to enhance the contour. So if you want to add extra glow to your makeup, then I would always suggest to use the Glamour Glow palette. They're fantastic because they're mica based, so they give you such a stunning reflection. They don't look too grainy or too glittery. They just look like a really soft, gentle glow. So they're absolutely stunning when you're trying to really build up that kind of glossy makeup. And this is the Powhatan that I'm using at the moment, which is slightly lighter, but it also helps to really brighten underneath. And then for some extra punch, I'm just going in with Icy Blush, which is this one here, which looks completely stark white, but it has a stunning icy blue finish. So for things like highlighting and to pick up on those areas, it's amazing. And I wouldn't suggest to work with this on too much of a darker skin because it might look a little bit ashy. The Powhatan will be better. But if it's just on a slightly more olive to fair skin, it works perfectly. And I'm basically going to use this just to frame around the face and the eye detail. So I've applied the mascara and I'm just going to go in and groom my brows with the eyebrow forming gel just to really lift and shape them. And it also helps to really open the eye and give a really gorgeous fluffy brow effect. If you're doing quite a graphic eye makeup for fashion, I would always keep the brows slightly softer because you don't want it to all look too hard and harsh. Okay, and then just to finish, just a touch of gloss on the lips, which is in the High Gloss Crystal Rose. Something really neutral so it doesn't pull focus from the eyes. So there you have it, that's our high fashion using our Pure Pigment Metallics in Pure Orange and our Polyester Glimmers in Pastel Yellow.